I knew something was wrong the moment. I walked into the conference room and saw the whole executive team already seated. Quarterly meetings never started early. Richard Holloway was never on time for anything in his life. But there he was, sitting at the head of the table, jacket buttoned, hands folded like he was posing for a photo. "Glad you could join us," he said. "I'm 2 minutes early," I said, taking my usual seat. "Sit somewhere else today." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Nobody else laughed. "Richard, what's going on?" He didn't answer me. He looked at the room instead, like he was about to give a speech he'd rehearsed in the mirror. "As you all know, our supply chain numbers this quarter are a disaster. Late shipments, broken vendor contracts, missed deadlines. This company is bleeding money because of it." "That's because you cut the logistics budget in March," I said. "I sent you 3 emails warning you this would happen." "I don't recall any emails warning me about incompetence." "Richard, I've made a decision," he said, cutting me off. "Effective immediately, Daniel Cole is no longer Vice President of Operations at Holloway Industries." The room went still. James Whitfield, the chairman, looked down at the table like he didn't want to be there. Olivia Bennett's mouth opened slightly, then closed. "You're firing me," I said. "In front of everyone? For a problem you caused. I'm protecting this company. I built half of this company's systems myself. 10 years, Richard. 10 years I gave you. I'm grateful," he said, like he was thanking a waiter. "But results matter more than loyalty." I stood up. My hands were shaking, but my voice came out steady. "You know, this isn't about the supply chain. This is about you needing someone to blame so the board doesn't ask why your numbers are bad. Security will walk you out, Richard. Now, Daniel." 2 security guards were already at the door. I hadn't even noticed them come in. One of them, a guy named Carl, who used to bring me coffee on long nights, looked at the floor instead of at me. "Your badge," the other guard said. I pulled it off my belt and held it for a second before handing it over. 10 years of my life clipped to a piece of plastic, and now it belonged to someone else. "Can I at least get my things from my office?" "We'll mail them to you," Richard said. I looked around the table one more time. Nobody met my eyes. Not James. Not Olivia. Not a single person I had worked beside for a decade. "This is how you treat people who built this place." Richard didn't answer. He was already looking at his phone. The guards walked me through the office floor. I knew better than my own house. People stopped typing as I passed. Some looked away. Some just stared the way you stare at an accident on the highway. I remembered the night. I rebuilt our entire vendor system from scratch after our main supplier collapsed. Working until 4 in the morning while Richard was at some gala. I remembered turning down 2 job offers from competitors because I believed in this place. Because I believed Richard's father would have wanted me to stay and protect what he built. I remembered Vanessa telling me, more than once, that loyalty wasn't the same as being valued. I should have listened to her the elevator ride. Down felt longer than any ride I'd ever taken in that building. I watched the floor numbers change and thought about how icily 10 years could be erased in 10 minutes. When the doors opened, Carl handed me a small box with a few items from the front desk, a spare charger, an umbrella, nothing that mattered. "I'm sorry." "Daniel," he said quietly. "For what it's worth, thanks, Carl." I walked through the lobby. The receptionist, Marie, who always asked about my weekend, just stared at her screen and pretended to be busy. The glass doors closed behind me with a soft click, and just like that, I was outside, standing on the sidewalk like a stranger. The building looked the same as it always did. Tall, glass, gleaming in the afternoon sun. I had walked into it as an intern 15 years ago and walked out of it as nothing. Found my car in the parking garage and sat down behind the wheel. I didn't start the engine. I just sat there, staring at the building through the windshield. Trying to feel something other than numb, my phone buzzed. Vanessa. I stared at her name on the screen for a long moment. I didn't answer. I couldn't explain it to her yet. I couldn't say the words out loud. I got fired in front of everyone for something I didn't do because saying it would make it real. I wasn't ready for it to be real. The phone buzzed again. I turned it face down on the passenger seat. Above me, somewhere on the 9th floor, A curtain shifted in one of the windows. I looked up without thinking. It was Patricia Holloway's old office. She didn't come in much anymore since she stepped back from the company. But there she was, standing at the glass, looking down at the parking lot at me. She didn't wave. She didn't look away either. Her face gave nothing, no sympathy, no judgment, just a long, steady look. Like she was studying something she already understood. Then the curtain fell back into place, and she was gone. I sat there a while longer, the engine still off. The box of meaningless office junk on the seat beside me. And the only thought clear in my mind was this. Something about the way. She looked at me wasn't pity. It was something closer to a warning. Asterisk for 3 weeks. I didn't leave the house except to get the mail. I stopped shaving. I stopped checking the job boards I used to scroll every morning out of habit. I told myself I was thinking things through, but really, I was just sitting on the couch watching the same news channel without hearing a word of it. Vanessa tried. At first to be patient. "Daniel, you need to shower today," she said on day 12. Standing in the doorway of the living room with her arms crossed. "I will. You said that yesterday. I just got humiliated in front of 40 people. Give me a minute. You've had 3 weeks of minutes." I didn't answer her. I just stared at the TV. She sat down next to me and turned it off. "Hey, I was watching that." "No, you weren't." She turned to face me fully. "Daniel, look at me. You didn't do anything wrong. They made a mistake. Not you. They fired me in front of the entire executive team, Vanessa. They walked me out like I stole something. Because Richard needed someone to blame and you were convenient. That's not the same as you failing. Feels the same. It isn't." Her voice was sharp now, the lawyer voice, the one she used when she wasn't going to lose an argument. "You spent 10 years building that company's systems. One bad month doesn't erase that. But sitting here feeling sorry for yourself? That erases it faster than Richard ever could." I didn't have a response for that. Some part of me knew she was right, and that made it worse. The doorbell rang the next afternoon. I almost didn't answer it, but it kept ringing, insistent, until I dragged myself off the couch. It was Tom Riley, my old assistant, or former assistant, I guess, since neither of us had a job anymore. "You look terrible," he said, walking past me into the house without waiting for an invitation. "Thanks, Tom. I mean it. You look like you haven't slept since they fired us." "Haven't really." He sat down at my kitchen table like he owned it and dropped a folder in front of him. "They cut me too," he said. "Same day? Cost restructuring, they called it. 3 days after they fired you? I'm sorry, Tom. Don't be sorry. Be angry. I'm angry." He tapped the folder. "And I brought you something to be angry about." "What's that?" Before they walked me out, I copied some files. Financial reports. Stuff that was supposed to go to the board next quarter. "Tom, that's illegal?" "Maybe. I don't care anymore." He pushed the folder toward me. "Richard's been hiding debt." "Daniel, a debt." Failed contracts he buried under other line items so the numbers looked clean for the board. The supply chain disaster wasn't just because he cut the budget. It's because he's been covering up losses for over a year. I opened the folder, numbers I recognized, formatted in ways I didn't. "This is why he needed someone to blame," I said slowly. "If the board found out the real reason behind the losses, they'd go after him instead of you." I closed the folder. My hands weren't shaking anymore, not from grief at least. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you're the only person who actually understands these systems better than the accountants who built them. And because somebody should know what really happened before Richard rewrites the story completely." I didn't say anything for a long moment. "I don't know what to do with this." "Tom, you don't have to know yet. Just hold on to it." He left an hour later. And I sat with the folder on my kitchen table for a long time before I finally put it away in a drawer. 3 days later, Marcus Reyes texted me out of nowhere. "Drinks. Tonight? No excuses." We hadn't talked much since college. Just the occasional message. But I went anyway because staying home was starting to feel like its own kind of prison. "You look like hell," Marcus said when I sat down across from him at the bar. "Everyone keeps telling me that because it's true." He slid a glass toward me. "I heard about Holloway. Public firing? No severance talk, the whole thing. Brutal. You heard about it? Daniel, I work in finance. Everybody heard about it. It's the kind of story people whisper about at conferences. Great. Glad I'm famous, he laughed. But there was something underneath it. Something calculating. Their stock's been sliding for 2 months, right? I've been a little busy not checking stock prices. Well, it is. Quietly. Nobody's talking about it loudly yet, but the company's undervalued right now. Vulnerable, even. If the wrong information got out, My lawyer called on a Tuesday morning with good news, or what she thought was good news. Daniel, we have a strong wrongful termination case. Public humiliation, no documented cause, witnesses in the room. We could settle for a solid number, maybe push for more if we threaten to go public. I don't want a settlement. Excuse me? A settlement is Richard writing a check and moving on with his life. I don't want his money. I want his company. She went quiet for a second. Daniel, that's not really how lawsuits work. I know. That's why I'm not calling you about a lawsuit anymore. Thanks for everything. Hung up before she could argue, and for the first time in over a month, I felt something other than numb. My brother Ethan showed up that weekend with his laptop and a stack of printed spreadsheets. You said you needed a numbers guy, he said, dropping his bag on my kitchen table. I'm a numbers guy. I need more than a numbers guy. I need someone who can make this airtight. Show me what you've got. I handed him Tom's folder along with everything I'd pulled from public filings over the past 2 weeks. He spread it all out, frowning, flipping pages. Daniel, this is bad. Like really bad. He's been hiding losses across 3 different departments for over a year. If this got in front of the board with proper documentation, they'd remove him. They'd have to. This isn't a mistake. This is deliberate. He looked up at me. Where did you even get half of this? Tom Riley, the assistant who got fired with you. He copied files before they walked him out. I know it's risky. Risky is one word for it. Ethan sat back. But if we organize it right, cross-reference it with the public earnings reports, this could hold up. Give me a week. Take 2. I need this clean, Marcus called 2 days later. And this time there was no pretending it was just drinks. I talked to some people, he said. Investors. Quiet money. The kind that doesn't show up in headlines until it's already done. They're interested in Holloway Industries. Interested how? Interested in buying, Daniel. The stock's still soft. If someone moved fast and quiet, gathered enough shares before the market caught on, they could take control without ever announcing an open bid. And you think I should be part of that? I think you should lead it. You know that company better than anyone alive, except maybe Richard's mother. And you've got a grudge sharp enough to make sure you don't screw it up. I didn't answer right away. Daniel, Marcus said, this isn't revenge. This is correction. There's a difference. Feels pretty close to the same thing. But only one of those gets you his office. A week later, I got a message I didn't expect. Patricia Holloway, asking to meet. Somewhere private, she said. Somewhere her son wouldn't hear about it. We met at a small cafe outside the city, far from anywhere Richard would ever set foot. You look better than the last time I saw you, she said, sitting down across from me. Through a window, if I remember too. I'm sorry for that. I should have come down. Why didn't you? She wrapped both hands around her coffee cup before answering. Because if I had, Richard would have known whose side I was on. And I wasn't ready to show my hand yet. And now? Now I think it's time. She looked at me directly. I still hold 22% of this company. Daniel. Quietly. Richard doesn't know how much. And the board has mostly forgotten I'm still a shareholder at all. 22% is significant. It is. Combined with the right partners, it could be controlling if you can secure enough board support behind it. Why would you do this? He's your son. Her face tightened, just slightly. Because I watched my husband build that company from nothing. And I've watched Richard treat it like an inheritance instead of a responsibility. He fired you to protect himself, not the company. I've known that since the day it happened. So you'll sell. I'll sell. If your group can guarantee the board won't simply hand him another lifeline. James Whitfield respects numbers more than loyalty. Bring him real proof, and he'll listen. I die, why I am, and why I die, I die, I'm proof. Then you have a deal. Hands over coffee that probably costs less than the steaks we just agreed to. Tom and I spent the next 10 days building the plan in total secrecy. No emails, no phone calls that could be traced. Just meetings at my kitchen table, late at night, with the curtains closed. If Richard finds out about this before we're ready, Tom said, spreading documents across the table, he'll bury it. He'll buy more shares himself. Call in favors. Do whatever it takes to make sure you never get close. I know, so nobody outside this room can know. Not until we're ready to move. Nobody, I agreed. 2 days later, I almost broke that promise without even trying. I was leaving a coffee shop near the old office. Laptop bag over my shoulder, documents tucked carefully inside. When I heard a voice behind me, Daniel. I turned around. Olivia Bennett, my old replacement, Richard's golden girl, still wearing her Halloway Industries badge, clipped neatly to her blazer. Olivia. Hi. I haven't seen you since she stopped herself awkward. Since everything, Yao? Her eyes drifted, just for a second, to the bag on my shoulder. What are you working on these days? Just some consulting stuff. Nothing exciting. Funny, she said slowly. I heard Richard mention your name in a meeting last week. He seemed nervous about something. I didn't think much of it until now. My pulse picked up, but I kept my face calm. Richard's always nervous about something. She studied me a moment longer than I liked. Right, well, good seeing you, Daniel. You too. She walked off toward the building, glancing back once before she disappeared through the glass doors. I used to walk through every morning. I stood there a second longer than I should have, gripping the strap of my bag a little too tightly. Thinking about how close that had just been, the earnings call happened on a Thursday, and I watched it from my laptop like everyone else. Except I knew things the analysts on that call didn't. Halloway Industries missed projections by 14% this quarter, the host of the financial news segment said. CEO Richard Halloway declined to comment on rising operational costs. Ethan called me the second it ended. Did you see that? I saw it. 14%, Daniel. That's not a bad quarter. That's a company falling apart in public. The tip of it. Wait until the product launch. The product launch came 2 weeks later. A new logistics platform Richard had been promising the board for a year. Built without proper testing because he'd slashed the QA budget to cover other losses. It failed publicly, crashing during a live demonstration in front of 3 major clients. I heard about it from Tom before it even hit the news. It crashed, Daniel. On stage, in front of everyone, Richard was trying to impress. How bad? Bad enough that 2 of the clients walked out before the demo even finished. I felt something I wasn't proud of. Not joy exactly. Something closer to confirmation. The real break came a week after that. When Sandra Mills published her article, I'd heard her name before, vaguely. An investigative journalist known for digging into corporate finances nobody wanted dug into. I didn't know she was looking at Halloway Industries until the headline appeared on every financial site I checked that morning. Hidden debt. Buried losses. Inside Halloway Industries' quiet financial collapse. I called Marcus immediately. Did you see this? I'm reading it right now, he said. She's got documents, Daniel. Internal numbers. Where did she even get this? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It's out now. It matters a lot, actually. Because if she's got the same numbers we have, the board's going to start asking questions a lot faster than we expected. He was right. 2 days later, James Whitfield called an emergency board session. And word got back to me through one of Ethan's contacts that it hadn't gone well for Richard. He stood up there and told the board it was a coordinated attack by competitors, Ethan said. Relaying what he'd heard, said the numbers in the article were taken out of context. Did anyone believe him? James Whitfield didn't. He asked Richard directly if the debt figures in the article were accurate. Richard wouldn't give a straight answer. It's as good as a confession in that room. Pretty much. The call I didn't expect came 3 days later. Olivia. I need to talk to you, Olivia. I don't think that's a good idea right now. Please? It's important. We met at the same cafe I'd met Patricia at. Far enough from the office that nobody would recognize either of us. Richard threw me under the bus, she said, before I'd even sat down fully. What happened? The board asked who approved the budget cuts on the QA team before the launch failure. He said it was me. Said I pushed for it to save costs, and he trusted my judgment. Her hands were shaking around her coffee cup. I never approved that, Daniel. He overruled my recommendation himself. I have the email chain to prove it. I'm sorry, Olivia. Don't be sorry. She took a breath. Tell me the truth. Are you involved in what's happening to this company? I hesitated. Olivia, I'm not asking to hurt you. I'm asking because I think I already know the answer. And I think I want to help. I studied her for a long moment. If I tell you something, it stays between us until I say otherwise. Understood. There's a buyout in motion. Quiet acquisition. Enough shares to take control of the board. She didn't look shocked. She looked relieved, almost. He did the exact same thing to me that he did to you, she said. Public blame, no loyalty, threw me out the second it was convenient. I'm done protecting him. What do you have? Internal fee asterisk. My fingers pressed the frozen boardroom. Image flat on Victor Hale's private desk. I stood in his office above Hale Dominion. With Marcus Vale's shadow outside, and this mattered because my father had touched the second report, Victor did not look at the image at first. He looked at me like dirt tracked across his floor. The office smelled of leather and cold air. The city windows reflected us, but only one man looked afraid. I saw it. His mouth tightened. His eyes moved to the corner of the image, where Marcus handed him the sealed report. Then the chairman mask returned. You forced your way here to show me a blurry picture? Victor asked. You are turning shame into theater because Serena Voss gave you a stage. This is why you were never fit for the whole A name. I placed my palm on the desk once. Not hard. Just enough to stop his words from floating. I came to see your face, I said. Now I have. The office went still. Victor's hand moved toward the security button. He wanted guards. He wanted noise. Men like him hated quiet because quiet let truth breathe. You are nothing without my name, he said. Marcus understands duty. You understand hunger? Then watch me stand without it, I said. The room went silent, and his hand froze above the security button. For a moment, I remembered being small in this building, waiting outside another door with a school medal in my hand. Victor had walked past me to shake another man's hand. I kept the medal in my pocket until the ribbon bent. Some sons learned early that love could be scheduled and canceled. I picked up the image and left before he could recover. The elevator doors closed, and my phone vibrated before I reached the lobby. Grant Ashford had sent an encrypted file. Nora Pierce had marked it urgent. I opened it in the parking garage, where white lights hummed and my breath sounded too loud. The first page was a board record. The second was a private bloodline confirmation. My name sat there. Real Hale heir. Verified. Hidden, my thumb stopped moving. Victor had known, not guessed. Not doubted, known. The next file showed the reason. Whole Dominion's biggest merger had needed Marcus as the legal son tied to an old partner's shares. Without that lie, the illegal transfer would crack open and swallow the company. My father had not lost me by mistake. He had traded me like an asset. Then I saw the line that turned the knife twist. Number 2. Marcus's Vale is not a random imposter. He is the secret son of Victor's dead business partner. Victor used him to cover an old crime that could destroy Hale Dominion. A laugh left my throat without humor. Claire had sold me for status. Marcus had stolen me for power. But Victor had priced me first. Footsteps crossed the concrete. Serena Voss stopped beside me, her black coat sharp against the lights. "You read it?" she said. I closed the file. Enough. I can crush Hell Dominion before sunrise. Legal freeze, investor pullout, media leak. Victor will lose control before breakfast. The offer was clean. A blade without fingerprints. I looked past her at workers leaving late. Badges hanging from tired necks. They did not betray me, I said. I will not burn them to warm my pain. Serena said nothing. Her eyes softened, then guarded themselves again. My phone rang at midnight. Grant said, "The illegal share transfer is tied to Serena's company too."